Hey guys, it's Coach Lawson. Um, I have been a holistic functional immunity practitioner for 13 years now. My journey started back in 2012, so I guess I've been in this arena since 12, so that's about 14 years. Started my practice in 13, and I specialize in chronic illness, chronic symptoms, chronic diagnoses, chronic labels, people that are, they can be homebound, they could be bedbound, they could be functioning but suffering through the day with moderate to severe symptoms. But that's been my MO because of everything that I've been through. Which I call the fire, and I've learned how to come out of the fire. I lived through some pretty crazy things, which kind of shocking, but at any rate, today I did want to talk to you about something that is incredibly prevalent and is affecting millions of Americans. And quite frankly, nobody really knows about it. Your doctor or your physician is most likely never even tested you for this. It is a radioactive heavy metal. Our water systems, our municipal water and our private well waters are contaminated with this. I believe there's over 40 states that it is verified that does contain high levels of this radioactive heavy metal. And what is happening is these doctors are, like I just mentioned, they are not testing for this. So what they do is they come up with some sort of a label or diagnosis for you, and they start medicating you based on your symptoms. So a lot of the medications could be immunosuppressants, steroids, anti-inflammatories, antihistamines. The list goes on, but these are all pharmaceutical drugs that are actually a root cause themselves. They're toxic and they inhibit and block nutrient absorption, but they're obviously not addressing the real root causes of why you have your symptoms and why you've been given this label or diagnosis. So the element is uranium. Now, your first thought maybe with uranium is, oh, I don't know what this guy's talking about because I don't live near a nuclear reactor site, or this and that and the other. But this has very little to do with the nuclear reactor sites. Obviously, if you live close to one of those, you may be a little more susceptible. But this is affecting the vast majority of the underground water system in the whole country. There's certain areas that are a little more prevalent, but I have clients coast to coast. They could be California, it could be all the way over to New York. It's really coast to coast that people are becoming very toxic in uranium. So I have been practicing, as mentioned, since 2013. I've been detecting uranium toxicity in people since 2021. So for the past 5 years, I guess when it kind of started, it started fairly rapidly. I started getting clients that were uranium toxic, and it was 20 or 30% of my practice, and very quickly it went up. And today, 2 out of every 3 people that come to me are uranium toxic. The prevalence and the consistency was for me shocking, especially after 6 months or a year of starting to detect the uranium in people. And everything that I talk about is clinical experience. It's published research, and it's basically fairly or very cut and dry what's going on, and it is a major player in why people are sick. So just to re-emphasize, your labels and diagnoses have very little practical meaning to your causes. So your real root causes are causing these diagnoses for you and these symptoms and the suffering. But you have to actually, to get well, if you want to get well and have great health, you actually have to identify these root causes. Uranium, again, for a lot of people, major player. There's also numerous other root causes. Molds, other metals, there's numerous non-metal toxicities, and then deficiencies, and that's a topic I'll get into in another video, but deficiencies are a huge root cause to poor immune systems and leading into active infections and poor health. Okay, so getting back to uranium affects many systems of the body. It causes a lot of imbalances as well, and certain cells like mast cells to become unstable. But uranium is a nephrotoxin. It has an affinity for the kidneys, and nothing attacks your kidneys like uranium. So again, immune suppression, it's suppressing, it's a radioactive poison. It's obviously suppressing your immune system. It's suppressing various organs, primarily the kidneys. It actually affects other organs too. That's the main one that it kind of likes the most and has the most affinity for. It's affecting your nervous system, your endocrine system, and really, just to be practical, it's affecting the majority of your systems of your body. And in my opinion, it's one of the most toxic heavy metals. I would argue that it's the most damaging of all the metals, but there's definitely a handful of metals that are very toxic. So the presentation just from uranium looks like disease. And again, the physicians are not diagnosing the root cause, they're diagnosing the symptoms and putting a label on it. But so uranium is hiding, essentially it's hiding out. Obviously you're not seeing it in your water, but it's there, and it's kind of, again, it's just hiding, and you don't even know what's going on, and the doctors don't either. But it is essentially causing your suffering and your disease. And uranium occurs naturally in the soil, in the ground, in the dirt. And how this is playing out is over the past decades, 40, 50 years, when we started to use commercial fertilizers, and as time went on, the ground accumulated more of that fertilizer, which fertilizer is a nitrate. So the nitrate is actually going in and chelating, it's removing the uranium, which is stored away safely in the ground. It's a lot of times it's attached to granite rock, but it chelates the uranium from the rock and gets into the water system, and all the water system underground is connected. And that's why it's even though there are certain areas and pockets that have more uranium than others, that's why it's a pretty much of a covers the vast majority of the country, just because the water system is all connected. The EPA estimates about 2 million people are consuming uranium contaminated water. From my experience, I would say that it is vastly higher than that. You know, it's just, if you do the math and the numbers, you know, the people that come to me are chronically, have chronic symptoms and are unwell, but, you know, 65 to 70% of these people are uranium toxic. So, you know, I would say that the numbers, that's a very conservative number, and I would say at least half or more of the nation was drinking contaminated water. That's what I would put on that. And municipal water versus private well water, not a big difference, and not a big difference when it comes to uranium toxicity either. The uranium is prevalent in both. So, you know, back in the day, people thought that well water was great, and I'm sure that it was much cleaner and a higher quality of water back in the day, but today, not so much. It's just as toxic as the municipal water. So your doctors have a standard protocol of testing, and they do not include toxicities as testing. So they're not really testing you for any heavy metals, especially uranium, but that's not what they do. Their structure is very limited on what they're testing you for. So when it comes to real stuff that's causing you to be sick, you know, real root causes, that's just simply not their agenda. So, you know, I think the majority of doctors are good people, and they're doing, you know, the best that they can and all that, but it's just the limitations in the structure that they're performing and working is just suboptimal, to say the least. So that's, you know, what's going on or what's not going on. And that's why you're never going to hear from your doctor about uranium. And you most likely have not heard about uranium and how toxic it is, how prevalent it is, just because that's not, it's not in the arena of what they do. So just keep in mind that just because you haven't heard about uranium and your doctor hasn't told you about uranium and all that doesn't really mean anything. That just means that they just kind of confirms that they're not testing you for real root cause stuff like toxicities and the majority of the nutrients that we need and much more that they're not even testing you for. So a couple of things that you can do about uranium is first of all, I just want to talk about number one would be awareness. And this is just bringing attention and awareness to you about uranium, that it is a real thing. It's testable, it's identifiable, and you know, it doesn't really take a rocket scientist here to figure out and understand that you know, a radioactive heavy metal is definitely me causing damage when we consume it and hold on to it and accumulate this poison. So but being aware of this primary, very prevalent root cause is one of the main things that I have been doing since 21, essentially exposing uranium toxicity. So I think we start there. Number one is just becoming aware of it. If you are, I'm assuming you're watching this video and you're still watching it, so you probably are chronically ill, most likely, or you have a very close friend or family member that's chronically ill. So this is definitely the first step, is understanding about uranium, and it is very, very prevalent. And again, odds are you probably are uranium toxic, 2 out of 3, so that's a pretty good probability right there, right? So the other thing would be testing. And testing, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can detect uranium through the urine, and you can also detect uranium through the hair. So personally, I don't test urine because it's more of a quick a snapshot of what's coming in. It doesn't show what you've accumulated. So I'm looking for, as a practitioner, I'm looking for your total accumulation of a broad spectrum of toxicities, but right now we're speaking about uranium. So I want to know how much uranium that you actually have accumulated, because that's what we need to know. That level is important. And yeah, so we'll be retesting your uranium levels in 6 months or so to see how we're doing with getting that uranium removed. So next is testing your water at home. So you're probably either on municipal water or a private well. If you're on a private well, it's pretty simple. There's independent water testing companies that you can reach out to, and they can test your water. And as far as municipal water, if you're on that, there's municipal water quality reports that you have access to. The only thing with that is you have to check to inquire to see if they're actually testing for uranium in that water. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So obviously, if they're not testing for uranium in that water, you don't have any idea. But but the best way to know about this, to find out, is if yourself, if you're toxic, if you've accumulated uranium, high probability that the water that you've been drinking is uranium toxic. So yeah, I was really, again, I was just shocked the first few months, six months or so, when I started getting all these people and they were showing high uranium levels. And it was just really obviously surprising but shocking. But again, since then, I have been exposing this toxicity since 2021, and yeah, doing my best to get this out. And if you are watching this video, please share the video to whoever you think needs to see this, because lots of people, millions and millions of people, are uranium toxic. They're very sick, and they have no idea that that's one of their primary players in being sick. And if you don't know your root causes, it's really hard to get well. I would say theoretically it's impossible to heal when you don't have your root causes identified, because you're just kind of throwing darts, you're guessing, you're trying this, you're trying that, you're spending lots and lots of money, lots and lots of time, lots of energy, lots of hope, and none of that really comes to fruition, because you're just throwing darts and trying different things, but you're not identifying what's causing you to be sick. So for healing and great health, you have to do that. You have to functionally test, appropriately, and find your root causes. If you are interested in learning more and doing a one-on-one session with me, I do a complimentary strategy call. So in the link below to my website, you can contact me through there and connect with me, and we'll get you scheduled for a 100% totally free initial consultation to talk about why you're sick and the chances of you having uranium toxicity. So if this video was helpful for you, if it made you ask some new questions, if it sent you in a new direction, if it was a great learning video for you, please share this video, pass it on to as many people as you can, and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be making more videos about health, root causes, and healing, and obtaining amazing health throughout my series of videos I'm doing here. I think I have about 9 more to do, and then I'll continue, and I'm going to try to do those 9 one a week, and then after that I'll be continuing, making a random video once a week or once every couple of weeks. So please subscribe and turn the notifications on. And I'm Coach Lawson, and I'll see you in the next video.